My name is Philip Spark. I'm hopefully going to show you, now that winter is drawing near and we need to winterize our motorhome, and also from the point of view of reducing frost damage, remove any remnants of water in our hot and cold pipe work within the motorhome. And therefore what I'm going to attempt to do today is show you how we install the floe, this patented water drainage system, into our Adria Coral Plus 370 SL, with the idea that this system allows you to connect a air compressor operating at 1 bar or 15 psi to your water system, and it allows you to expel most of the remnants of the water system so that you don't have any nasty surprises due to pipes freezing or anything else over the winter period. It's a fairly, hopefully, simple installation. You use the kit together with a torch as required, a plastic pipe cutter which you can obtain from any plumber's merchant, and a hand or electric Phillips screwdriver in this case. The actual kit consists of a CD which gives you a brief idea of how to install it. You've got an on-off valve for isolating the water tank from the rest of the system. You've got a T adapter or flow adapter which allows you to connect the patented flow device to the water system, and you've got various other adapters which allow continental pipes which are of a different diameter to be connected to push fit connections. So those are the components, that's all we require. The next thing is to show you where everything is in the Adria. So this is inside the Adria Coral Plus's garage, and you can see that here a panel behind the water tank has been removed. There are several screw points and some down the bottom. Once those screws, the covers are removed, the screws are accessible, the screws can then be taken out and you expose the tank section, and in particular the feed from the tank, and which goes down to the filter at the bottom here, and also the pump. The filter is rated at 1.4 bar and the pump is also rated at 1.4 bar. So they will both quite happily allow a 15 psi or 1 bar pressure of water to be applied to them from the side of the water tank. So what we're going to do is that we are going to insert the valve, cut-off valve here, this on-off cut-off valve, to isolate the tank from the rest of the water system. And then further down we are going to install the flow T adapter, and it's to here that we will be able then to connect the compressed air device at 15 psi. Right, this is the Adria control panel, and you can see here that we have a water on off which is now showing green, it's now been turned on, and here this shows you that the water tank is currently 50% full, and the red one here shows you that the waste tank is 0%.
Before we start our
full.
work, we will obviously need to empty the drinking water stroke freshwater tank. Probably the quickest way of doing this is to turn on all the taps, i.e. perhaps the kitchen tap and also the toilet wash hand basin tap, and at the same time you can also turn on the dump valve, which is located on top of the freshwater tank. and we'll see shortly what the valve looks like and the fact that you've got to turn it fully anti-clockwise to empty the tank.
Obviously, on top of the water tank is a valve for either emptying the tank to 50% or emptying the tank completely. It's an alternative way of emptying the tank. In order to empty the tank using the valve, all you need to do is just turn it fully anti-clockwise, and then the water will drain out of the bottom onto the ground. Here we have the water tank access cover for cleaning the water tank. When the valve is turned fully anti-clockwise, then the water will escape here. So the water has now stopped draining, so the tank should now be empty. Panel, and we're now going to turn the water off, so that it will go from green to orange. So that is the pump turned off. Okay, just as a precaution, we're going to take one of these adapters for continental pipes and look at the push fit diameter, which is that section of it, the smooth section of it, and compare it against the diameter of the pipe. And you can see that the diameters are very similar, so we're dealing with the same sort of push fit pipe diameter. The next thing to do is to remove the shut-off valve and to have a look at the shut-off valve, and we can see that it can be inserted in one of two ways. It can either be inserted that way round, or it can be inserted that way round. The only difference it makes is the direction in which the actual valve handle moves. If you can see, if we're going to put it tight against the tank, then it would be better to have that handle on the outside, which means when the valve is closed, the handle is pointing downwards and will therefore will go clockwise a quarter turn in order to shut off any return water to the tank. Okay, so we have our pipe coming from the tank. The shut-off valve is going to be inserted with the handle down, and it's going to be, therefore we are going to want to place it approximately about there. So the cut is going to have to be made about 4 centimeters or 1.5 centimeters from the top there. So you can see here 4 centimeters, approximately 1.5, so it wants to be cut about there. So we're going to take our clippers, our pipe cutters, and we are going to cut through the pipe, and making sure that we are cutting at right angles. Cut. So we can now see the cut pipe. We can also see that this pipe, that this shut-off valve, which must be installed with handle down, must be pushed up until the pipe hits the shoulder of the connector, which will be about there. It's about 1 centimeter. The total length of this pipe is about 5 centimeters, so we've got approximately 5 centimeters of pipe exposed. Therefore 3.5 centimeters of pipe should be left if this connector is pushed on correctly. So here we go. We push that in there, and it should go right up to the shoulder, and it's at the shoulder now, in which case we should find that we've got about just over 3 centimeters left, so that's well in, up to the shoulder. I can feel it up to the shoulder as well. And when we turn it off, that would be the position, and when it's turned on, the handle will be down. Right, the next component to fit is going to be the floe T adapter, which is this guy here. Again, it's got a valve on it. That is in the open position, which will allow air to be pushed into the system. And in the same way as the other one, that is the off position. And that's the position in which it will normally remain when not draining or trying to remove the last water from the system. So when the motorhome is actually operational and in normal usage, that will be the normal position for the switch. Okay, so now we're ready to insert the floe T adapter. Again, it wants to be inserted probably about 2 centimeters lower than the other one, still within easy access. And again, there will be a shoulder of about 1.5 centimeters. So if we were to, if we had 2 centimeters plus another 1.5 shoulder for the T adapter and 1.5 centimeters for the shut-off valve, that would give us a pipe requirement in this particular case of 3 plus 2 of 5 centimeters. So we're now going to cut ourselves off 5 centimeters of pipe. So that's our 5 centimeter piece of adapter pipe cut off, ready to be inserted into the shut-off valve, and the other end will be inserted into the floe T adapter. So let's do that now. So here we go. Right, that's fully in up to the shoulder, and the other end again we're going to insert the T adapter with the switch, the actual lever to the outside so it's easily accessible. Right, this is firmly in up to the shoulder, and you can see there's about 1 centimeter left between the two. So we now want to cut this pipe off, so the 1.5 centimeter shoulder isn't taken into account without a great strain on it, so the cut wants to be about there. You can see that it will be approximately 5 centimeters pipe. Again, we'll cut that. All done. We can now insert the other end into the bottom of the floe T adapter. Again, it must be inserted right up to the shoulder. So there we have it. We have the output from the tank going into a 90-degree connector that then goes into the shut-off valve, which then goes into the floe T adapter and then continues its path down to the filter, also the pump. Okay, now that we have both assembled here, the first thing to do is to turn this valve into the off position. Make sure that the shut-off valve above is in the on position, so that's the tail down. And then what we will do is we will close the valves on the tank to stop water draining from the tank. We will then recharge the tank with drinking water. make sure that all the taps are turned off. Once the tank has got water in it, we will then turn on the pump and we will test to make sure that all these joints are watertight. So this is the valve, which is currently in fully anti-clockwise position, so the tank is draining. So I'm now going to turn this fully clockwise. There you are, as far as it can go. So that's now the valve off. So we will now fill it with water again. So we are now filling up the cold water tank via an adapter and a normal garden hose, although this is just from the point of view of putting water back in the tank. Where possible, obviously you should use a food grade hose for putting water into a tank, or fill up via a water container and a pump. This is what it looks like. This is just a 3-connection, which is just like the normal filler cap, except 3 bayoneted. We only need to fill it up to about quarter full. As you can see here, this is the water level here. We're on a slight slope, so that's now coming up to quarter full. So that should be more than sufficient for our purposes. Panel now, our freshwater tank is now showing 25%. If we now turn on the water pump, it should go and it will put the system under pressure, and then we should go and check for leaks. So we've now turned the water back on again. So just to recap, this floe T adapter is in the off position. The shut off valve is in the on position, so water can come down into the filter, into the pump, and into the rest of the system. This means now that we should have water coming availability through the cold tap. And through the hot side. Very good. And then we'll try the same with the wash hand basin. Hot first. Then cold. Hot, cold. Turning those off. We'll check the pipes again to see whether there's any sign of any leaks. And there does not appear to be. It's always good just to run your fingers around it to see if you can detect any moisture. But there's nothing there, so those connections are good. Right, we can next connect the floe adapter. Nice patented floe device. Screws onto the end of the floe T adapter. There's a thread in there, so we can screw that on now. Okay, nice and hand tight. So we now have a connection point here for our compressed air device, when we are now ready to drain down the water and push out any remnants of the water from the water system, both hot and cold pipes. Okay, this is the compressor that I'm going to use. It's a Flinner compressor. It comes completely with a long lead to plug into the cigarette lighter socket on your motorhome. It comes complete with adapters, other types of equipment, and not to mention this, it also comes with a length of air pipe. It's got a snap type connection on it, so it doesn't have to be screwed onto the end of the flow adapter. So just pushed on and then push the lever down and it's in place. And it has the ability to set the pressure at 1 bar or 15 psi. Okay, we have the Flynn device. We've now made sure it's set to 15 bar. Okay, so we now have the Flynn adapter. It's screwed on nice and tight, so we now unscrew the end cap. Put that safely out of the way. And then we take the pressure device, opened, put the pressure device on the end. It's now connected on the end, so it's now ready to pump out any remaining water. So the first thing we must do is turn off the pump and empty the tank of all water, and then turn on all the taps. When all the water appears to be out of the system on that basis, we can then come to turning the compressor on and getting any residual water out of the pipework. Panel, and we're now going to turn the water off, so that it will go from green to orange. So that is the pump turned off. You can see at the moment we've got 25% in there, but that will reduce in a moment. The water level is going down all the time. Right, we've now drained more or less all of the water out of the tank, so we can now move on to the next phase. Ensuring that these taps are in the off position, fully in, off position. The shower tap is in the off position, and the washhand basin is in the off position.
Before we purge the water, we're going to put the panel back. That's the 6 screws and the covers.
At this point one should draw attention, there are 2 types of screw being used. One, which has got a slight shoulder on it, it's got a deep enough hole in the top so that these covers will fit nicely into them like that. The others will not accommodate these, so you must make sure the right screws are going into the top to accommodate these, and the other screws are going elsewhere. Being careful not to over tighten them. There's one more there, another one at the bottom down there, another one there, and another one. That's all the screws back in position. So all we now got to do is just put these caps back on. So on these ones it's the round caps like that in place just here, and for these ones down here it is the larger caps which just press in there like that in position. Okay, so we do this large caps on the bottom and the small caps on the top. we can see that we have access to the floe pneumatic pipe connection with its screw tap on there. It's a question of gently bending it down and putting on the compressed air pipe onto the end of that, otherwise it's out of the way.
Quick recap. At this moment in time, the newly installed shut-off valve between the water tank and the floe T-adapter is set to the off position. The shut-off valve on the patented floe device is set to the on position. All taps are off and in the hot water position. The Flinear compressor is plugged into a 12-volt cigarette lighter socket, and the compressor's air pipe is attached to the end of the patented floe device, and the compressor is set to 15 psi. The procedure: open kitchen hot tap, expel any water close, hot tap when no more water comes out, then recharge compressor to 15 psi, and repeat until no significant water comes out of the spout. You can use a measuring jug to see how much water is removed as required. Repeat process with shower hot tap, and then toilet hand basin hot tap, and then kitchen cold tap, and then shower cold tap, and then toilet hand basin cold tap. Finally, turn off all taps and recharge the compressor to 15 psi, then open the heater unit's dump valve located underneath a wire frame cover under the rear dining table seating. Turn the blue knob located on top of the dump device 90 degrees, and the blue button at the bottom will then pop out. Wait until most of the water has been expelled, then turn the top blue knob 90 degrees again and push the button in. Recharge the compressor and repeat the process until no more significant water is expelled. When putting the wire cover back over the access to the dump valve, just rest it on the 3 plastic lugs that you can see there, and once it's aligned and resting on all 3 plastic lugs correctly, then just press the wire edges down into the lugs and they'll click into place. If you're going to be leaving the motorhome over the winter period, then leave the dump valve open, i.e. with the blue button out, and also all the taps in the middle position and all the mixer taps in the middle position and on, i.e. with the lever lifted up. Then air can get in and water can get out if there is any still remaining anywhere.
Well, that brings us to the end of this first video. As you probably noticed, it is an amateur production. It is our first video. Its intention is to be of help to those who are new to motorhomes, in particular those from Adria. If you found this video helpful, then please click on the like button. If you would like to subscribe to our channel so that when we produce further, hopefully helpful videos and tips on motorhomes, particularly biased towards the Adria motorhomes, you will find these also helpful in future. Thank you for watching.